Good morning. This is Bill Kennick, Uranian astrologer, and it is December 7th, a day which will live in infamy of 2024. It is now 10:03 a.m., but I got a letter from a woman Jewish lawyer, which said something like this. Dear Mr. Kennick, as you are aware, our firm represents, and so on and so forth. So you know you got trouble. You know you got trouble in River City, right? So, what's the point? Well, naturally, I did a horary, and I had opened the letter. I guess it came in the mail the night before, but I never got to it. But anyway, I opened it at 9:19, and I actually became aware of it because, here's the thing. The funny, I was waiting for a letter from a Jewish woman. One of them was supposed to send me $100, and the other one wants to throw me in jail, I suppose, or some evil equivalent thereof. But the question would be, well, as an astrologer, I mean, we all have lives, right? And I regard my life as an experiment. Perhaps everybody's life is an experiment. I'm not sure. But anyway, I remember I had a teacher named Alphonse Surs, and the story about him is he was at the airport and he fell down and in some manner, and he was bleeding all over the nice linoleum floors at the airport, and he got up and he was so happy, he was dancing around. My prediction came true. My prediction came true. And so here it is, the same. Now, the theory was Lilith was Adam's first wife in Jewish mythology. And she is mentioned. Well, mythology, that's a loaded word. It could in the Jewish religion, see. Depending on where you put Adam and Eve in it's in the Bible, right? So that's some would say that's not mythology. Okay, well then, taking it further in the Talmud, and I've never read it, by the way. I read of it, but never read the Talmud. Well, I don't read Hebrew for one thing, but Lilith is mentioned as the first wife of Adam. And there's all kind of stuff on the internet now about Lilith, your inner wild, mastering your inner wild. Well, okay. Ivy Goldstein Jacobson, she was actually an Australian astrologer, and she had a book when I was first studying back in I believe I began to study astrology in about 1969, although I had dabbled in it. You never know what books to get. If you're a beginner, there's all kind of bullshit out there, and you don't know where, or stuff that is advanced, like, for example, sidereal astrology. When we went down to the Cleveland Public Library, there were about 4 books on astrology, but one of them was about sidereal astrology, which is sure to throw you off. I mean, it's a valid, wonderful system, and so on and so forth. Some people prefer it over the tropical and so on, but that's not the point. That's not where you start. and some of the other books were equally obscure and esoteric. It's not where you start. Um, but I finally was introduced and paid, I don't know, paid $25 to a real astrologer, who then told me, hey, the book is Margaret Hone, Hone. That's where you start. And sure enough, that book was available then, and it's what I learned from it, you know, as a good starting point. And if you had one book to read and you needed to learn astrology, you get Margaret Hone. Um, the word astrology is in the title. Yeah, I forget now, but here on the chart, look at this. We have the ascendant in 8 of Capricorn, and then counting down into the second house. Look at the moon. The moon is in 2 Pisces 34. It has something to do with my money then, right? It is opposite. And you'll see, look at the 8th house, you'll see the glyph, and this is the other people's money. It is opposite. Well, the glyph is for Hades, but in my doing of Astrolog 7.70, I was more interested in Waldemath, and I could conveniently change the figures, the numbers for Waldemath. Waldemath being Ivy Jacobson's Dark Moon Lilith. Now, move on over to Libra, the 9th house, and you see there's another glyph which is frequently associated with Lilith. That's the Black Moon Lilith, which is one of the foci of the ellipse that the moon as it travels around the Earth. But anyway, that's the Black Moon Lilith. But the Dark Moon Lilith, we're using my glyph for Hades. And by the way, Hades is not pictured here because I never figured out how to do that. But let it be known that it's about 14 of, look on astro.com and you look up where Hades is. It's about 14 of Cancer. Pretty near conjunct Kronos. Now that Kronos is very interesting because it's on my sun, and I thought, well, they might make me president or king, because Kronos represents the government, the president, the king. And here's in the 7th house in opposition to me. Well, no, actually, my sun is conjunct that. I am in opposition to something. Now, if you were to put the real Hades in there, conjunct the Kronos, or in 14, that would put me about to go to jail. And interestingly, my niece, and we're going rounds about her mother's money, I guess it is. Was born July 7th, so her son would be born on the 7th day of born on the 7th month of the 7th day. She was born for good luck. Well, apparently not good luck to me, but anyway, she would have Hades right on her natal sun, conjunct the Kronos. So she and I are going to jail, I suppose, or she says I'm going to jail. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, what actually makes it more likely is here's this letter from this attorney. Now, the question is this attorney benign or is she out to get me? And okay, the moon, it represents well, if you put me in the 7th house of this horary, because it's conjunct my Kronos, that gives me Cancer rising. But otherwise, Capricorn is rising. So that's a good question. Where would you put Bill Kennick in this, and so on. But anyway, that's not why I bothered with you with this chart. The reason I'm bothering you with this chart is that on the theory that Lilith, the dark moon Lilith, Waldemath, represents a Jewish woman. Okay? And I've been saying that for some time. And, I'm not the only one that says that. Lilith magazine, for example, is, for Jewish women, self-empowered Jewish women. It's something about empowerment, but I'm emphasizing the Jewish part right now, just because that's very interesting. Now, would it be only Jewish women? I doubt it. But it has probably more to do with where Jewish women are in Western civilization. For example, well, the woman that wrote the book was an astrologer in Australia, Ivy Goldstein Jacobson. So, she had an interest in Jewish women, of course. So that applies there, and from horoscopes I've done, I think it applies to something to do with Israel, and I think right now it has something to do with this Jewish lawyer, um, woman Jewish lawyer. Okay, but there it is. I open the letter and look at the look at the clock. I write the time down on the letter. See, time, Saturday, December 7th, the day that will live in infamy, 9:19 a.m. So then I read the letter, and as it turns out, I already got that letter, but this was certified, so it's more, official. So when you hate to get a certified letter, it cost them $9. So you know, I imagine that'll come out of their pocket. Huh? Yeah. Okay. There's other interesting things in this chart, by the way, if you had to know. Um, that's a moon in Hades in 2 Virgo 34, 2 Pisces 34. But moon Hades. But another very interesting happened here, which I was tempted before I saw the moon Hades. I was tempted to look at this Venus. Venus just entered Aquarius, and it is just conjunct Pluto. And if we backed it up about 10 minutes, we would see it flipping from, let's see, Pluto's in O Aquarius 22, and Venus is in O Aquarius 23 uh, at this reading. So you kind of look at wow, what's happening here? The early degrees of Aquarius. Now, where's the North Node? I can't quite make out. Yeah, it is. North Node is in 2 Aries 47. So that's a connection you will make, maybe a karmic connection, huh? Something like that. Yeah, looks very bad. Looking very bad. Um, the note is well, the in the third house. Well, all this hullabaloo has something to do with my sister. See? Third house. And if you look at the sister's daughter, you'd count the fifth from the third. Which, by the way, well, let's count. 3, that's the first. 4 is the second. third, sixth, fourth, seventh. Right. The seventh house is the fifth from the third. Now you say, how could that be? 5 and 3 is 8. Not true. But start on, you're recounting, you're counting the third from, you know, 1, 2, 3, but then you start, the 3 becomes the starting point, and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're in the seventh house then. Okay? And that's my sister's child. Well, my sister had 2 children. One died last year, this year, and one remains. And is very mad at me, you know. So now the only thing that she's the one that's born on the 7th month of the 7th day. See, so that her Hades not pictured, including with the Chronos. She's to be kind to her. She's having a hard time herself, and but there she is pictured, with me with Chronos in some kind of legal entanglements. And you're talking about $500,000 or more or less. Now you see, it becomes more serious when you say, "Hey, that's real money, ain't it?" So, okay, Bill Kennick, Uranian astrologer. I better go see about my business before they come and haul me off to jail. Although I don't think. Well, someday we'll look at that and see when that will be. When will I go to jail? Well, I might as well do it now. Might as well take a look right now. See if we could discern something. Normally, you look at the moon, and the moon, as the moon moves, then you figure out what is this days, weeks, or years. And one thing to do with confinement, very possibly, is the moon to Saturn, which we see both in the 7th house. So Saturn. So we count the degrees between 2 of Pisces, and Saturn is 13 of Pisces. So that's 11. 11 days, weeks, years. Then we look at Chronos. We could also look at the trine to Chronos. Chronos is in 15 now, making a very close aspect to Saturn, by the way. So Saturn Chronos, that's usually bad news, right? The government and repression. The government's going to relieve you of something, take something from you, or throw you in prison. So possible, it's possible. That would be between 2 and 15 or 16, which would be 13 months. 11 to 13. I guess what that proves is I'll probably spend about 3 months in jail. I hope it's in the summer. Uh, well, anyway, that's you count the degrees. 11 days in jail would be better, right? 11 years in jail would be worse. Now, how do you figure days, weeks, years, and so on? There's 2 things they go by, and one is the moon cardinal, fixed, or mutable. And the faster cardinal is faster, like days. Fixed would be weeks, mutable would be years. See, and the other thing you look at the sign. The cardinal, fixed, mutable. See, what did I just say? I said. Yeah, and I don't remember how Ivy Goldstein Jacobson had it. But here we have in the fixed, which would be weeks, and the sign is mutable. That could be, years. So, of course, I personally, I am not a crook. See, I deny all wrongdoing. Just for the record. Um, However, there are people out to get me. Eh? So, and with the chronos involved, you never know, how things go. Now, what would be? We're still counting here. We're counting days, months. So 11 to 14 uh, months, I would say. Now, hmm, the Pluto Venus is in zero. That's an important conjunction, right? You have an important conjunction of Pluto and Venus, and you have an important opposition of Moon and, well, Waldemath. So just going by degrees, because that's all they do. They, regardless of sign, they just go by degrees. Between zero, because when zero comes to two, oh boy, that's not very far, is it? When zero comes to two, Pluto to, oh, by the way, there's Athena nosing her head, and she's in two also. So between zero and two, that's two something. The 2 months. Oh, okay. So then Pluto is in. What sign is it in? It's in Aquarius. That's a fixed sign. That would be months. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. So I could conceivably go to finishing school and learn some tricks from the underworld for a period of 2 months. Something like that. All right. Thanks. This is Bill Kennick, Uranian astrologer, signing off.